Still waiting, yeah. So, so good evening, all. Am I audible? Yeah, thank you. So yeah, we'll wait for some more time, but then since we are here, so let's get to understand each other better. When I say get to understand each other better, I'm talking about our audience. I shall be introducing the judges formally later when, once we have more audience. So quickly, if we can have Anne, Swapna, Vineet, Gunashekharan, introducing themselves. They could use the chat window, introduce what you do. I mean, definitely one of the stakeholders, and that's why we have you here today. So, what brings you here this evening to attend this webinar, which is about, better communication? So, go ahead, Gunashekar, Vineet, Swapna, and Anne. Since you are the first ones to attend, you should get something additional here. But let's get to know you better. My name is Riddhi, and I'm the host for the evening. So let's get started. So I asked the question again. What brings you to this webinar today? What is your expectation out of this webinar today? I'm sure there's something which brings us here. We know the title, and then there's something which brings us here. So just use the chat window and share that. What's the takeaway that you're looking forward from this evening?
Yeah, hi, this is Swapna Anand.
Yeah, Swapna. Hi.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Yeah, I think I will get few suggestions how to deal with the parent as we are handling the virtual classes. Sometimes like we are on the page where we are directly interacting along with the children, we are interacting with the parents also. So I think this platform will help me out so that I can guide my teachers also to deal with them. Few inquiries when they ask, so sometimes we are not able to communicate properly to them. So hopefully I'll get a lot of information here.
Oh, yes, certainly, Swapna. Thank you so much for sharing the questions that you're seeking today. I assure you, by the end of this webinar, you'll certainly have questions to these answers. Answers to these questions.
Yeah. Got it, ma'am. And really happy to join this session. And yeah,
you'll be happier. You'll be happier because we know the guests, the kind of experience they have, and the the soft skills, the mantras that they'll share with you will make your communication with the parents, with the teachers, definitely much more effective. I assure you. This
Thank
is Riddhi
you.
Gupta's words to you. I can tell you that.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so
Sure.
much.
Anybody else? And Vineet, Malika? Yeah.
Hello, Sadi. Hello, ma'am. Hello.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, all. So that's what we definitely, since we know that today's session is definitely going to unveil a lot of vitals about the communication, effective communication. So we would wait for some more time to have more participants, because we know that since we've got so many questions, so we just trying to understand what are the other basic questions so that we take up in today's webinar to make the most of it, because we have very esteemed, experienced people who are going to share the mantras of making your communication with the teachers, with the parents, much more effective. So Malika ma'am, do you have any questions running on your mind with respect to today's title of the today's webinar? You could use the chat window, or you could unmute and speak. That's the privilege that you're getting. Formally, we'll open the webinar sharp at 5. But before that, grab the opportunity to ask your special questions.
Yeah, Riddhi ma'am, can we get a recorded version of this session?
It will be certainly there. It will be certainly there. So in that, just because it's going to be a recorded session too, I encourage people to ask as many questions as possible, because as we say, revision makes you better. So we'll have the recorded sessions too. So ask as many questions as possible, and we'll try to cover as much as possible.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Good evening, Riddhi. Good evening, all the members. This is Dr. Srinivas from Educational Knot again. So, I'm really welcome on behalf of Educational Knot to both the allied guests. So, I'm a neuroscientist by profession. I'm so honored, because every weekend I'm extremely tired of by helping the children. Today, very, very luckily that I got my sessions just got over at 4:45. And I'm so happy to join this session to learn from you people, experts. Okay, I'm always a learner. I'm always a student when it comes to the webinar. Okay, whatever expertise we carry, when you come to a webinar, you're supposed to be like make your mind open and be a student, so that you learn a lot. So very happy and very enlightened to hear from both the guests. Good evening to you.
Good evening, Sumati ma'am and Riddhi and esteemed guest Snehalata ma'am and Malti ma'am. I'm Shakuntala here. Riddhi was encouraging us to ask a few questions. So this question always keeps ringing in my mind. Today's generation, parents are very, very protective, and they don't want to hear anything negative or, something challenging about their kid. So that's very challenging for us as educators. We always do that sandwich phenomena formula, wherein we talk something very good about the child and then slowly put in this bitter pill into it, and then coat it, give it sugar coating pill to the parent. So do you think that we are doing what we are doing is okay, or is it accepted, or we?
So Shakuntala ma'am, first of all, good evening and very warm welcome. Yes,
this moment to say hi to Shakuntala. Glad to meet you on this platform once again.
Ma'am, yes, ma'am. Same here.
We were together in Chrysalis.
Oh, okay.
Now you recognize me.
Ma'am, your hairstyle and all that is changed. So I was not very sure whether it was that Malti.
It's the same person. Yeah, it is the very same person.
That's very nice, ma'am. Nice to meet you again.
My pleasure too, dear. My pleasure too. And thank you, Dr. Srinivas, for those wonderful words.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Welcome, ladies. So happy to see you.
Yes, welcome everyone. Yes.
Seems to be more woman empowerment is there. I'm the odd man sitting right now, I believe. Because
there are few.
other videos.
Yeah, few more, Dr. Srinivasa. We never leave you alone. There are a few gentlemen waiting there. I mean, I see. So, guys, the gentlemen there, yes, let's not have this feeling run through that, it's only the women power here. If any questions from the men present here, please go ahead and ask.
Yeah, Guneshekaran Gopalan is there. Vinith Rajbhaskar is there.
Absolutely. So, guys, yes, now it's time that we should formally start off. Seema, do we? May I?
No, see, no. Still more. We'll wait. No, numbers are increasing slowly. We'll do that. Ready. Wait for some more time. People are joining. It is not even 5 o'clock, so you can just by 5. 5 of.
Sure.
You can start.
I'm gathering the questions, Sumati. No worries. We're using the every moment. So, any other questions that comes to your mind? So we use this time, to gather questions and make the most of it.
Sunita Shilpa can introduce yourself and talk to Riddhi, please.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Sushila.
Good evening. I'm Sunita Khanapure.
Yeah.
Sunita.
India. Shubha madam gave me the link to join.
Yeah, fine, please. You're from which school?
San International School, Mandya.
Oh, lovely. So, Sunita, do you have any specific question in your mind?
Regarding the parents?
Yeah, regarding the communication with parents, the parent-teacher communication,
There is that. How do the teachers handle when parents start blaming the teachers in the school and they become very aggressive?
Surely. Yeah, definitely. So thank you so much for bringing this question also, Sunita. We will certainly be taking up this question. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure is ours. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'm Janet here.
Yeah, Janet.
Yeah, I work for Chipper Sage. So, I'm here basically. I know Malati and Snehalata ma'am. And one of the main reason is I don't want to miss Snehalata ma'am's session. So,
yes.
I would request Snehalata ma'am, even if other than this session, if elsewhere, please send me the link. I'm definitely to join in.
Thanks, Janet. Thanks.
Hi, ma'am. Hi, ma'am. Hi, Malati.
Hi.
How are you all? Yeah, good. Nice to be here. And as a parent and teacher session, though we are not directly interactive with parents, but then as a teacher, how to go about with a parent and from a parent point of view on the teacher's point. So it's from both sides I'm here.
Oh, yes. We are covering, that's the beauty of today's webinar. I think everybody will have at least one takeaway, whether, a person is attending the webinar as a parent, as a teacher, as a principal, educationalist, or even a student. Definitely there's some takeaway for each one of us. So, yeah. Anybody else? Thank you, Sunita. Thank you. Janet, sorry. Yeah. Anybody else? This indeed is a conversation which we had been thinking of bringing on our forum, Education Not. But then, yes, we were waiting for the right people to give us the appointment, and luckily we've got it today. And hence we have two very esteemed personalities who have rich experience in dealing with teachers as well as parents and students. So I'm sure that's what gives us the confidence of giving you the right answers on this podium today during our webinar. So we just a few minutes.
Ma'am, sorry, I have typed a question in the chat box. Can you please look into the chat box?
Surely, yeah. Okay. So at times, parents choose a different stream for students, whereas the student's choice for aptitude is in a different stream. How do we convince them? Yeah, sure. That's also one kind of a very, very important communication. Yeah. Surely. Thank you. And this question has been written by, this question has been posted by
Mallika.
Malika. Yeah. Okay. In my chat window, I am not able to figure out the name. So thank you, Malika, for posting this question, a very essential question. I mean, ultimately, the schooling is to make a child choose a right career. So if school, parents, teachers, all the stakeholders can enable understanding it, not by gut feeling, but by an informed decision, a process, a structured process, I think we achieve our purpose. So thank you for bringing this question too. I hope we'll be able to answer this as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone wants to introduce, please?
Yeah, please go ahead. Because then once we start, then we will be following a strict, an agenda where it's going to be more of questions and answers and interaction. So that time we'll be taking the questions that we have noted so far. So please use the most, that's why I'm saying post questions. You never know, you get an answer to what you're seeking today. Yeah. So any gentleman who wants to ask anything? Any suggestions to motivate a reluctant learner? Okay, so we'll so take these questions towards the end. So yes, we will formally mark the opening of the webinar.
Riddhi, just wait for another 5 minutes. Participants are still joining, and I'll go live. In another 5 minutes, I'll go live. Please.
Sure, Seema.
Another 2 minutes, huh?
Yeah, 5:05 we'll start. Yeah, because there's a lot to be discussed. Yeah.
Ma'am, there is one more question from my side.
Please go ahead, Malika.
Many a times the behavior of a student in school is actually directly related with the home atmosphere, right? We all agree. And as teachers, we really don't know what happens at home. And it's quite a delicate thing. It's a very difficult thing to ask parents directly, about the things which happen at home. So it is a very difficult situation. So how will you put across these questions?
Sure.
Because the behavioral problems usually we handle, especially in
absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely, Malika, ma'am. So yes, this is again one of the things that. So what we're doing today is we've the questions which has come to us from schools, from teachers, from principals, from different stakeholders, and we've gathered those together. And those are the ones.
Hello.
Hi, Shilpa. Yes, please go ahead.
I'm a teacher, but I have one question as a parent that what is most important, IQ, EQ, SQ, or MQ in children? So that the child will be in balance.
Sure, ma'am. Ma'am, please post this question in the chat box.
Sure.
Yeah, because first we'll take all the questions which are related to the parent-teacher communication, the communication part, and definitely towards the end, if time permits, we'll take up these questions which are coming. Please put it in the chat box so that we don't miss this beautiful question.
Okay.
Thank you, Shilpa.
Riddhi, some technical error in Facebook Live. Maybe another 2-3 minutes we'll go Facebook Live. We can start meanwhile.
Sure, Seema. Thank you so much. So, a very, very warm welcome to everyone present here. Good evening, namaste. I trust that everyone is doing great. Thank you so much for joining the webinar organized by Education Not. And in fact, thank you so much for sharing your questions. That gives us, that encourages us to bring forward more and more webinars by Education Not. So my name is Riddhi Gupta, and I represent Education Not here today. Education Not is a club which is formed by members who are serving the education industry for a decade now. We bridge the gap between the educational institutions and the students by providing the required services. So as most of you know already, that today Education Not brings to you a very vital topic which is useful to every stakeholder present here who's attending the webinar this evening. And that is parent-teacher communication. What and how. Indeed, good communication is bridge between confusion and clarity. Quickly, let me take you through the format of, to give you an idea what to expect today. We'll take a few moments to introduce today's esteemed guests. We've received many questions and we will take those questions formally during our discussion with our esteemed guests and also include the ones that we've got now. And then we'll open the floor to give an opportunity once again for all of you as an audience to ask your specific questions. Right? So now moving ahead in introducing today's esteemed guests. I take immense pleasure introducing today's guest, Snehalata ma'am, Miss Snehalata Ramachandran, an MA B.Ed in English, Social Science and certified by CIDTT, teacher by profession and at heart for more than 35 years now. Very passionate about education and strongly believes that every child can be an achiever if provided with right environment and nurtured with a firm but loving mentor or a teacher. She's been a teacher, principal, and now an educational consultant. A very good evening to you. A warm welcome to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Riddhi. Thanks.
Welcome, ma'am. Thank you. And looking great as always, ma'am.
Yeah. Older the wiser. Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on to our yet another full of life speaker, Ms. Malati Balasubramanian. She's a postgraduate in English with a B.Ed, holds an experience of, again, 30 plus years in the educational field in various roles. Someone who strongly believes that learning is permanent when it happens effortlessly and instinctively. Hence, learning by doing is something that she promotes and encourages. The quote that she lives by is, "Champions keep playing till they get it right." So here we have Malati ma'am. Good evening, ma'am. A very warm welcome.
Thank you, Riddhi. Glad to be here.
Thank you so much.
Good evening to everybody.
So, dear guests, as you know, our audience is already waiting to hear from you. A long list of questions. So we'll try and cover as many as possible. So should we begin? Okay. So a very fundamental question. What is the need of parent-teacher communication at first place? I mean to say, when we get progress reports periodically, newsletters, circulars, updates, reaching to parents through school, software, so many different formats of communication. So how is it important to have this kind of formal parent-teacher communication? And if there's a need, where all is it needed? To you, ma'am.
Malati, you want to start?
Snehalata, please start off.
All right. All right. Okay. The first thing that we have to keep in mind is that the parents, the teachers, and the students, we are all on one side. And we are all human beings. It's not like we're not, production, manufacturing industry. We are the service industry with live human beings in our hands, live parents, and we are also the live human beings. So, that's where the emotions run riot, and we both are on the same page. So the parent is also a stakeholder, just as the management, just as the teachers, even the students, I would say to a large extent is a stakeholder in a school. So that's one thing I'll say that we need to have. All of us have to be on the same page. The second thing is, it's not like somebody just mentioned, I have a problem. Yes, we have problems from the teacher's side, definitely yes, and from the parent's side, and probably from the student's side also, because he may not like the teacher for some reason, he might hate her. So the problems are two-way or three-way. So it's quite complex, yes, to sort it out, but nothing is impossible. It's just that somebody else again said, they have problems at home. So you go delve into the the reason for it, check out the reason for it, and then get out. Find the solution. And the next thing is the parent meeting is mainly for now we are seeing face to face. Yes. It creates a kind of well-being. I know my teacher. The students knows. The student says, "I know my teacher. Which teacher is coming?" The parent says, "Hey, this teacher, wonderful." There's a confidence. There's a trust that comes within the teacher. It can be the other way also. I'm just saying the fine print. Yes, if all's good, good. But there are sometimes the parents go the other way also. But then it's the confidence building. We need to build the confidence and the trust. When you have this, it's a huge thing. The parent is so dreaded by the parents, maybe, and even by the teachers. Oh my God, another parent, PTM. That parent might say this parent. Yes. But if we can take away those misconceptions, the misunderstandings, the clarity of the agenda, what is your goal when you have these meetings? When there is clarity from the management, from the leaders, to the teachers, to the, go down to the parents, when there is a sync, I think there's nothing impossible. Of course, we all deal with different, at different levels, sure, but there is a solution. Malati, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Lata.
Yeah.
Like she said, parent-teacher communication is something that is important. Yes, you may be communicating through social media, coming to your question, Riddhi, and they could also be periodically, they are sending across notes or newsletters or circulars, but we need to have a face-to-face one. That is required to do away with maybe misinterpretations or misunderstandings that could happen, because social media is something where you don't get to see the emotion of the two parties, right? So you're only perceiving from what you read. In order to be able to understand each other better, we would definitely say that a parent-teacher meeting must be in place, and it's essential for the well-being of the student and for all the stakeholders to be on the same page. Definitely required. That's what I would say. Look at this now. With the online classes, the children are also wanting to go back to school. So are the teachers. And I'm sure the parents also would want to go back to school and meet the teacher in person and get to talk to her than just seeing their face on the screen. So we are all social animals, right? So social media is not enough for us. We need to meet in person to be able to talk to each other and get to understand things better.
Right.
Yes,
like you said.
Yeah. And you need to have different kinds of meetings for different purposes. As I said, yeah. So you have the orientation the beginning of the year, where you say school policies, talk about the school policies, rules of the schools, the school ethics, and the different teachers, you introduce them, so you have an orientation. You make it very clear. These are the lines. These are the rules. We stick by that. It could be for the teachers and for the parents, so that we are in sync. Then of course is the class meeting we have, wherein the parents and the subject teachers get to know each other, and parents and parents of the same grade also say, hey, we are on the same class. Our kids are in the same class. So it's nice to kind of get that bonding, so that I think that's very important to take it forward. That bonding has to be there. Then the other one, of course, is after the formative and the summative tests, we have the one-on-one meetings and address the concerns of the students, or appreciate their achievements, or something they've done differently, or in the areas they have improved. Yes, definitely so. And so the focus is on academics. When you're talking about the one-on-one meetings, we focus on that. So we don't get away from that. That's something that we tend to talk and extend, and that's where we get ourselves into trouble in a way. So focus is academics at that time. But I would say even there, you might hate a parent. Yes, it's not that you need to like everybody, or all the parents who should like you. But then we have to be pleasant. Our body language. You can't go like this. Come on. We are all human beings. I mean, we would feel uncomfortable when somebody sits and interviews us. But have the parent next to you, or don't sit even opposite, this way, because they say it's intimidating to the parent. You are the boss, you are the ruler, because you are the teacher.
Right.
But if you have them sitting next to you, make them feel comfortable, smile, make polite inquiries how they are. Somebody said now sandwich, so you say the positive things, and there's always something nice a child has done. And then if you want to say something, talk about where the child can make the improvement. Let's target how. It could be spellings, it could be particular answers, it could be the style of writing, maybe the study skills, but the teacher has to give them something specific where the learning is required. I don't know, and it has to be done very subtly and tactfully. That's one thing the teacher definitely needs, to be very tactful, because she has to say what she has to say. But you understand the parent, how she will take it. Understand the parent, put it across the way she understands. I think that's very, very important. And the fourth kind is, we do have children with problems, maybe difficulty in learning, behavioral issues. Somebody said that again, a huge problem at home. So, for something like this, you want to address. The first time the child does something, you don't go attack the child or the parent. I think every school has a counselor. And so the counselor, along with the teacher or the teachers of that section or the subject teachers, will have to go in together, observe the child, create a note, keep a note for that, discuss it with the counselor, and the counselor and the class teacher can call the parent. But again, it's a very, very sensitive concern with how you address the parent. For every parent, their child is the best. Please remember that. So how you put it across them, and they have to understand this is for the well-being of their child. We're not attacking them. So if it's put across very nicely, I'm sure they'll start listening to you. You have to get them to listen to you. Thank you, Riddhi.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Snehlata has covered most of it. Okay. But Lata, do you remember when we were in Mumbai, once you had mentioned to me that your school has started those class meetings. And I was really very fascinated by it. And then when we got back to school, then we decided we would also start with one. Now, having an orientation for all the parents together, parents of the same grade or maybe 2 or 3 grades put together at the beginning of the session is something where the principal addresses, the head of the school generally addresses the parents. And it is like, okay, we are now getting closer to each other. You are trying to develop a bond because we are just starting the academic session, right? The second step is, as she said, it should be a class meeting. So when you get into the class, the parents are able to see the class teacher close up, right? And they are able to get to know each other, and the parents of a particular section also get to know each other. So they know who are the other parents in the class and who are their children going to be studying with. So it sort of brings in a certain comfort level for the parents too, and for the teacher too, when she knows these are the parents. She's put a face to those names and she gets a little into a comfort zone before they actually get on to that one-to-one meeting for a PTM. So these are very essential. So we would strongly suggest, right, Lata, that they have a class meeting done after the orientation before they actually get on to a one-to-one meeting before the as a part of the submitting assessment feedback or whatever we could call it.
Absolutely, ma'am.
But then so that was really something which worked wonders because they're happy to be in the class and they get to know each other. Okay. And yes, these are a few meetings that we need to think about when you're in school. Over and above that, of course, there could be certain occasions where you may need to call the parent to discuss a particular concern about a particular child. And as Snehlata said, it should not be something that you jump at right at the first instance that you have observed something. Let us say that you have seen that a child is being a little too naughty, which is not acceptable, maybe a little above the acceptable level. But then the teacher will have to observe the child for a couple of more times to see if there is a pattern in the way the child is behaving, have the required anecdotal record or the evidence present with her or him, and then take her coordinator and, if required, the counselor into confidence. And then if there is a requirement, again, if the counselor and the coordinator are not able to find a solution to it, then and only then should they approach the parent. And even when they approach the parent, it should be where you are addressing the concern, where you're addressing the action and not targeting the child, the human. We need to avoid telling them, your child did this, your child was like this, your child was this. So that is where it doesn't make the parent happy, right? So the teacher will have to know how to subtly put it across to them, but be very firm in what they are saying. Look, this is what we have observed, dear parents, and we have evidence of that. And at our end, we have also tried to find a solution to it. It's just because we felt now it's time for the parents to enter into the scene and we work together, supporting each other to help the child. If this kind of a confidence is built, if this kind of a message is sent across to the parents, any parent will be ready to help the school and the teachers, because every parent wishes the well-being of his or her child. So it all matters on how diplomatically we deal with them and how we handle both the parties, whether it's a student or the parents.
Can I just add the class? Just something which came in. As she said, the school I worked. At the school I worked for in Mumbai, we had lovely parents, and involving the parents in your school class activities. Every parent is somewhere talented in some area, so you could involve them. So that gives them that kind of again, that bond in the class with the children, with the teacher. It really works. But again, caution that first is the foundation to the understanding. Thank you.
Yeah, and adding on to that, maybe, yes, it's very important that you bring the parents into school, not just for the meetings, right? They should feel that they are part of the school, just as their children are. So I would like to, again, give an anecdote in my school from Mumbai. What happens generally is the parents are very well connected with their children, maybe till the 5th or 6th. Post that, they wean away, and the children also wean away from them. So when we met up with parents who were in the 8th or 9th or 10th, they would say, "Nee, we don't get to know what's happening in their life. Why did you move away? Why did you stop the communication channel? Why did you even shut down that communication channel?" They may not be ready to open up everything to you, but keep it going. They need to understand, look, here is somebody at home that I can speak to. And a lot of issues can be just cracked down by just communicating with each other. So what we did on one of those days is we had a Father's Day, right? Just as we celebrate Mother's Day, we just said, okay, let us just invite only the fathers of all the children in the different grades. And we gave them a task. A class task was given to each child in every section. Now, the 9th standard had a task of writing something good about their father, telling in class, in front of all the other children in the class, something that they love about their father or something they would like to speak about their father. One of the fathers in the 9th standard, when he entered, and he broke down, hearing his child read out a poem that was penned by the child for him. So these are moments that really bring a connect, because these days we talk about the connect missing between the parents and the children. So we need to create such moments in the school too for them. And this will make the parent feel very comfortable in coming to the school and not just, PTM, here's the teacher who's going to tell me something about my child, right? So keep them coming to school, keep them entering the school for different such activities. And so when they come for the one-on-one meeting, or maybe a call that has been made by the teacher, they are not perturbed, they are not troubled. Right. Yeah, so they know, because here is the teacher, or here is the school which is trying to help me in handling my child better. That's very important.
Yeah. Lovely, lovely. I mean, this is the sense of what the audience wanted to understand. When you said social bonding, yes, of course. Otherwise, we're talking about robots. So circulars reaching to anybody is like reading it, and yes, so there's no human touch there. Definitely needed. Different formats to be handled differently, like the class meeting that you're talking about. Very different. I'm sure if introduced in different schools, it'll have, like we generally say, please don't mind, which means that we are going to say something which is, which is one needs to be mentally prepared for it. So parent teacher meeting should not be the only reason when we bring in parents. We need to create different opportunities where parents come, there is belongingness, the parent and school work together for the well-being of children. Wow, beautifully put in there. And also I remember Sneha talking about where, that we need to tell the parents where you need to work with the child. I mean, school is working for sure, but where child needs attention. That brings me to one, I remember when I used to go with my parent, for a parent-teacher meeting, our teachers had so much to share about us. It was like, the parents are going to school to hear about child's performance or different this thing. But now when I went, or when I started going to my, to attend my child's parent-teacher meeting, I remember that. I remember that we went, we sat, and it was like, if I'm the teacher, she was like, yes, please ask. No, right? As a parent, we want to hear. My child, my responsibility, completely. I understand. But they are with professionals there. Teachers definitely know how to deal with children when it comes to, academics and other things. So is there a change in trend is what I want to understand, that yes, this is how it happens these days. Some light on that.
I don't know if it is a trend, Riddhi. I don't think it's a trend. You've been one of those unlucky ones. But having said that, I think somewhere our teachers also have to be empowered now. A lot of teacher training has to happen. The mindsets of the teachers have to change, because the students know much more than the teachers because of the the different social media, the internet. So definitely they know much more. So very often the teachers are not upskilling and upscaling themselves. So they're not being empowered to they don't know connect with the parents, and so a lot of training has to happen with this. It doesn't come just like that. We all learned. Yes, today we are able to talk about it because we were all trained by our schools, trained by our heads. And each situation, there's no set thing like I can't give you a rule book. This parent talk like this parent. Because each child is unique, each parent is unique, each teacher is unique. But then how to handle it? The teachers need to be trained. Teachers need to be how do I say, keep the anecdotes of their students, the good things they have done, maybe even some things that it's not, the anecdotes, keeping those records, keeping those, the parent knows, hey, this teacher is watching, is actually keeping a watch on my child. This teacher is so concerned about my child. That if that message goes across, I think, and we have to remember that parents, we invite the parents. If I'm the teacher, I'm inviting the parent to come in. So if she's the Atiti and the guest or the home person, she has to be invited, smile, treat her nicely and speak to her. Let her hear good things about her child, because that's what I want to hear as a parent. Then, of course, address other issues, So, but then it cannot be, Malti, you want to add something? Yeah, you're eagerly waiting there. I know that. Yeah,
please go ahead, Malti.
Okay. When it comes to a parent-teacher meeting, it's not just the teacher who has this fear lurking in her mind as to what is the parent going to ask me. It is there in the mind of the parent too as to what the teacher is going to tell me about my child. Right? It is like aag dono taraf barabar hai kind of, so they have both the sides, both the parties are a little troubled, and you always feel that anxiety. Both parties are anxious. But coming to your question, Riddhi, where you said, when I went to school, this is what the teacher said. Yes, please ask. Now, that is something that I would say the school will have to train their teachers in conducting these meetings before it actually goes on to the floor, right? Because you may have teachers who have come from different backgrounds. They may have come from different schools, but as a school, you may have certain policies and certain ethics that you follow. So your rule book would probably maybe it is put down that these are the ways that we would be conducting ourselves when we have a parent-teacher meeting or when we are communicating with the parent. It is essential. I would say it is something that they need to take it up as mandatory, if possible, to conduct a meeting with their teachers, making them understand this is how we conduct ourselves and this is how we are expected to talk to the teachers. You may feel whatever you want for a particular parent, but then you always need to put a straight face, sit with a smile, and speak to them. Because all said and done, we are in the service industry, as Sneha put it. So we cannot let our emotions run high, and we cannot lose our temper with the parents. All said and done, you have to maintain that dignity. You need to maintain that decorum. So the teachers will have to be given a special training in this as to how they're expected to conduct themselves during meetings, and make it very clear that these are the school policies. Now, when we spoke about the orientation of parents right at the beginning, that is when the school leader should make it very clear to the parents, these are the policies that we follow in our school. This is what we follow, and these are our school ethics. So the parents are also aware that this is how the school conducts itself, and this is what we are expected. What is expected out of us? So the expectations are set clearly. So also with the teacher, and I would say that every time they have a PTM, right? It's better to have a short session. Maybe even take the teacher through some of the general questions, the common questions that would come up from parents, and help them. Because you may have the senior teachers there who have sat through a lot of PTMs and they know how to conduct. Because, when you listen to some teachers, you would say, no, a few teachers in the school are able to, get away with conducting the PTM very smoothly. Why is it doesn't happen with me? So that is where the teachers will have to self-reflect to see, did I say something wrong? Was my language wrong? Was my tone, was my tone not, very humbling, or maybe was it a little aggressive that it threw the parent also off the hook, and he or she also became aggressive? So in order to have everybody on the same page, it is essential that the school conducts a short meeting with them, take them through a few common questions that may come up during the PTM, and probably prepare them to answer those, prepare them to sit through and take those questions and give, may not be idealistic solutions, but something that can work through. That's very essential, and certainly it's not a trend in schools.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I still have a few years, to attend my PTMs as a
it's
parent.
Just one-off thing that happened to you.
Thank you. So again, catching the word, the sandwich technique. So when a teacher, she notices something in the child and she has to communicate it to the parent. And she knows that this is, the parent might not take it in good spirits. So how do we communicate? It is essential. We've observed something. It could be special attention needed somewhere. So how do we do that? A little more detailed discussion on that. I remember Shakuntala ma'am also, asked this question. Yes, over to you. Yes.
Yes, Lata.
I would say that again. I think I mentioned it about when we had that earlier on. There's this meeting you have to address concerns. I would go back to that because if I want to communicate something maybe unpleasant and I don't know how to, but then I have to have my details very, very clear. I need to understand it by observing the behavior or the work for some time. It's not that I've seen something and then I go and attack it immediately. No, because sometimes I think as teachers, we have this sense of power, a teacher, I can do anything, but then as we say, a teacher can make or break the child. So we've got to be very careful in what we are saying or doing. And they might even come to dislike the subject of that teacher, whichever subject the teacher is teaching. So I would say that you need to focus on that, address the concern only, and then work around it. Do your homework. Where, what, when, why? Get clarity on that. Discuss it with your counselor. Discuss it with your, the subject teachers who come into the class. Be very clear that this is a fact that you are, putting across the parents. And then, don't tell them your child is doing this. Your child is like this. No, don't attack the child per se. You got to rephrase your sentences beautifully and say, I think it's like this. Would you would you observe your child for 2-3 days? This is something we have seen in school, but I'm not sure whether this is happening at home. Don't tell the child that he is doing it. Why? You just say, maybe it's happening at home. Would you just check it out for a week and come back? We can meet at the same time next week. Okay, that the parent come back. So already you're trying to get her onto your side. And then the parent will start wondering, hey, what did they do in school? So she'll come back and check out her. So you put your foundation straight and then rephrase it and then put it across beautifully to the parent. And I'm sure when she understands that you're very concerned about her child, this is something that all of us as teachers should understand. We have to be concerned about every child. The moment the parent realizes, it doesn't matter which strata of society, because I have worked with rural, I worked with elite, I worked with all kinds of parents. They all want good for their children. So I'm talking across strata. So all the parents are this. I mean, they what they want for their child is the aspirations. Okay, yeah. So I would say rephrase your sentences. Go home. Don't say this is happening. Okay, I am seeing this now, but I don't know whether this is happening at home. I'll give you a week's time. Go back. Fix a date that day itself, so that you're getting the parent to commit to come back that day, afterwards, and then start putting across and saying, okay, it's happening at home, fine, but we are seeing it at school, and then take it forward very tactfully, very diplomatically, and very beautifully. I've had one of the examples, if I can say, I've had children who've had dyslexia, but the parent wouldn't just take it. And one child had a structural problem. He said, what do you think? You simply sit in your chair and you talk like this, and all that. Then I said, see, he's not writing every day. He's made to sit out and write everything. So finally, that was the year I left that school as a principal. And the parent wrote me a beautiful mail saying, ma'am, what you told was right. So we had to send him to Chennai to get it, tested. But the gratitude they have afterwards. But to break through this ice, break through this barrier, you have to have that tactic. And how does, you're going to read the parent. There is no set pattern. Read the parent. How does he understand? Get to the parent where you will touch his score. I think that's very important.
So true. Yeah.
Absolutely. So you don't get into an argument with the parent, like she's saying, because your tone says it all. Right? The way you put it across, the words that you use, and your tone says it all. So we need to be very careful when you're talking with the parents. And every child in the class, in the school, is important to us. Be it a special needs child or be it otherwise. Every child must be given the same the equal opportunity. No one should be deprived of what the other child gets. Going by what Snehlata said, I also had a lot of special needs children in one of the schools I worked in Bangalore. And I'm proud to say that we saw to it that every child went on stage when there is an annual day.
Yeah.
And for one of the programs, one of the annual day, it was one of my autistic child who played the lead.
Wow.
He started the annual day show with another 8th standard kid, and he played the lead. We were all a little anxious because we were worried that he may maybe break down on stage, seeing the lights and everything. But then we said, it's okay. It's okay. He needs to be happy. The parents need to be happy that he's got a choice. Why should he be deprived of it? Kind of. So what I'm trying to tell here is every child is important to us. Right. We don't look at them as he is this or she is this or whatever it is. So when it comes to the teacher observing what she has observed and passing it on to the parents, yes, tact. She needs to do it tactfully. She needs to have the right skills in her. She needs to have the right language. You need not be a language teacher to be able to say this.
Right.
For example, suppose you have observed, Shakuntala said, will the sandwich method work? Of course it does most of the time. It's not that it doesn't, because you need to start the meeting with a positive note. You need to see to it that you make the parent comfortable. You need to welcome them with a smile, make them sit down, greet them, and then say something good about the child. And then before you actually start talking about the observations that you have made, you can say, you probably can just say, okay, I have a few observations I have made about your child. Take their permission. May I share those with you? Now, this doesn't need a language teacher, right? It doesn't need a specific great language to speak this. So if the teacher just asks such a question as, may I share these with you, sir, madam? Because I think if we share this with you, I'm sure we will be able to do wonders for the child and find a solution to whatever concern we have. And then you start off firmly, yes, but gently. That's what is required.
And I think I'm just thinking that when somebody is taking extra effort on my child too, I mean, as a parent, I'm sure most of the cases, parent would also have recognized some pattern, not the things which can be recognized by school, but then they also know that something is not right. So, but then when we get that helping hand, I think yes. So then the other question is how it is told to us, how it has been communicated to us firmly but gently. I think.
Gently. Yeah. The minute you ask them their permission, may I share this with you? You know, it makes it very clear to them. The teacher is not accusing my child of anything.
Right.
The teacher is not just throwing the ball in my court and saying, look, it is your child. It is your responsibility. You have to take care of it. Whereas she is making it very clear to us, let us work as a team. This has been observed. So I think we need to work together to find a solution to it. And she talks about, again, I repeat, she has to talk about the action than the human, than the person. Find a solution, but do not ever accuse a child or accuse a parent for what the child is.
Yeah.
Then you have built a wall.
Sure. Yeah. Lovely answer there. Both the ladies loved it. So again, now here we spoke about teachers' issues, concerns while communicating with the parent. Now, what if? In fact, this has happened. I've personally heard many of my friends also saying that if there is something which needs to be communicated to the teacher via almanac or any other mode too, the child also stops because he sometimes or she sometimes feels that teacher might not like it, and then her behavior towards the child might change. So it could be right, wrong, I'm not too sure. And at the same time, this also happens that teacher sometimes develops this thing that, this is a very cribby, this parent will always crib, or a negative parent. So how do parents then communicate if they have some concerns or,
Lata, go for it. I always follow you. Please. Lata has to be unmuted, I think.
Okay. Right. You are asking me to, what the catch the bull by its horn. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Right. I know these are times when children, especially when they are in the secondary, they feel embarrassed by this, that the teacher, don't say this to the teacher. That's the thing, right? I mean, I'm scared of what. But then again, if you have started the rapport with the meetings that we talked about in the beginning and created that rapport, the bond, I don't know about the bond, even a rapport is good enough. And there is clarity in whatever the expectations are, whatever is happening in the class, there's transparency. I don't think it should come to this. But the hatred happens if the teacher is not yet there in her, she lacks the competency in the subject, the communication. Then she's at the, she's not in there. And so probably, when you are weak, people will start attacking you. So it's a school's responsibility to get them strong by empowering them, training them. There's nothing like training. You need to get them onto the same page. I know it's very difficult, but hand-holding and we need to be, as leaders, we need to be supportive. So if this is clear, absolutely clear, I don't think it should come to a stage where, because when they're till about third standard, there's unconditional love for the teacher. Even if the teacher says 2 plus 2 is 5, they'll say, my
That's
teacher
right.
said, Papa, you are wrong. Mama, you are wrong. But my teacher is correct. But it happens from 5th or 6th onwards, when they when they learn by themselves and they understand things far better, that that teacher thing comes in, So I think if the teacher is the competency of the teacher is a lot better, and upskilled, upscaled, knows what is happening around, the new developments, everything, I'm sure there's nobody who can question that way. That's my thing. Malti, you said you'll follow me.
Well,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. Absolutely agree with what Snehalata said just now. And yes, I would look at it at 2 ways when we're talking about, the child saying, refrain from meeting my teacher, or because she doesn't teach us properly. There could be, the probability is, yes, something like this has actually happened. One. Another one is the child probably has done something in school and he doesn't want the parent to go there. Okay, so it could be either ways. But for both the ways, I would say neither the parent nor the teacher should give up. Just let it rest by listening to the child. They should not just let it rest there. Okay, my child says don't write, I'm not going to write. Okay, I don't want to meet. If you want to meet the teacher, if you have to write a note or whatever it is, don't stop yourself from doing that. You need to, the parent should be able to read between the lines when the child says something. And also, because there is a probability the teacher has actually done something or said something, and the child has started showing disinterest in that particular subject and in that class. So there could be a chance that the child going forward may not want to go to school too. I'll just give you an example. I have worked as a principal in one of the Mumbai schools, and I had my cousin's daughter and son studying there. Now the daughter still studies, whereas I have left the school. It's almost 6 years since 6 to 7 years I've moved to Bangalore. The other day, my cousin calls her from Mumbai and she says, my daughter's refusing to go to school. I said, what happened? Apparently, their class teacher has been telling this child, okay, right in the present and in the 9th standard, like the higher classes, right, where they don't like to hear personal attacks.
Yes.
In a group, right? So the teacher has been telling this child, you are not doing your work, okay? And I'm going to call up Malti ma'am and tell her. I'm going to send across a message to her. You are her niece. Is this the way you behave? I'm going to call up and tell her. Now this had got into the child's, and it was an everyday attack. So she was like, Auntie is not with us here in the school anymore. Why is she targeting me, telling her name? And I don't like it. Then my friends start teasing me. They start bullying me. Now, this is something that is not to be done by the teacher. No personal attacks. Please stay away from personal attacks. Whatever you may feel about the child or about the parent or whatever it is, keep your personal grudges away and never ever shout. We have the no corporal punishment in place. Even verbal abuse is not acceptable. So the teachers may think it is all the more difficult for us to conduct the class. Why? Keep your class a fun one. Have a lot of activities well planned into your the course that you're going to be taking for that. I mean, the topic that you're going to be taking for that particular class. Keep your children occupied. Have different learning styles in place. See that every child in the class is occupied in the way they wish to do it. No one is going to trouble you. There will be no requirement for you to, probably jump up and attack a child personally or even call out a child, reprimanding him. It's all about preparing yourself well. So when you are doing this in the class, when you're conducting your class, keeping in mind the active learning strategies that you can use in class, and this again will help you with your observations done in the class about the child. You will be able to speak in a clear manner with the parent when you have a meeting if there is a real concern with any particular child, because you have your notes with you. You have dated notes with you. So it makes it easier for you to talk to the parent. Another one again is the child could have been, yes, parents may say my child is not manipulative, but then let us accept it. Yes, children can be manipulative if they wish to hide something from their parent. So if the child says, I don't want you to come and talk to my teacher, and puts the blame on the teacher that she is somebody who does this, or maybe, even my teacher says that you are a parent who keeps complaining always, who keeps cribbing always. The parent has to read between the lines. She has to delve deep to find out, is this really happening? Can't the parent just get in touch with the child? I'm sure she's probably just one call away. Maybe they just pick up a phone, take an appointment. Even a call appointment can be done with the parent, with the teacher in school, and just check up, ma'am, I want to meet you. Can I come across? And probably discuss this even over a phone call. And once they get this clarified, they can certainly go to school and talk with the child in the presence as a party. Okay, instead of the parent just attacking the child and saying, no, look, I spoke to your teacher. Your teacher said she has never said this like this. How dare you do this? Again, the child will not want to go to school. So it's better you handle it as a team. We are repeatedly saying handle it as a team. As a team. Hear the story from both the parties. Sit together, work out a solution. It may sound very idealistic, but this is the way out. This is the way out for putting everything, settling scores in a very amicable way, if I may say that.
Thank you, Ben. Yeah. Next, this is a question which I've got, categorically my friend has told to please ask this question to you. Yeah. And the question is, why does, a teacher gives preference to whenever a father comes to attend the parent-teacher meeting? Two things. One is that he has to go attend office. So I will attend to him first. I mean, we could have a working mom too, right? I mean, teacher herself is a working mom there. And second thing is that no tap on the time. I mean, as Sneha said earlier, that, we invite parents and then we give them the timing also from, this to this. 10 minutes is your slot. We miss on, 10 minutes, a prolonged meeting, 20 minutes delay. So are there any soft skills or rules to have a great parent-teacher meeting? Or if it is not there, can we create something now by you educationists there?
Let me tell you, see, this idea of the father working is an old one, like the British Raj. Okay. Where at one point of time, women didn't go to school, work, and probably they stayed home. The majority of them. Women always work, but the majority of them. So what has happened is it's just been passed down, from year to year or decades to decades, the same idea is stuck. The father comes and he's only busy man. Otherwise, all the women are twiddling their fingers, right? But that's not the case. So, and I don't think the fathers expect that these days, because the younger fathers I'm talking about in the 30s and the 40s who are all working now, I think they don't expect that anymore. But then even if it does happen, there's time slots are given for them, and you say, okay, 10 minutes. Okay, I can give you a buffer time of about another 2-3 minutes. And then, we as Indians, I'm sorry to say, we don't know how to stop. How can they say no to that father who is talking so much? There are so many other parents after them. So you have to put it, I know it's a delicate issue, but then you could tell the father, yeah, I know you have a lot to tell me. You have a lot to share with me. It could be the father, it could be the mother here. Whoever it is. Some parents just jabber, unwanted stuff. Get them back on track. This is what we are here for. Even then, you want to share a lot? I'll give you a lot of time another day. Let's fix another day and then wait. You've got to learn to stop them. Very diplomatically stop them, because we have to take the next parents who are waiting. They have the same emergency or the urgency, to complete and go home, because they have other things to do also.
Yeah.
Snehlata pulled the words out of my mouth.
Great. Absolutely great, Malti.
Yeah.
Okay. But yes, since most of the schools, I'm sure, work by giving them slots, maybe 10-minute slot, or, and probably a buffer of 5. So even when the slots are worked out in school, if they can take care to have the next, suppose they have given the first 10 minutes to a parent, a couple, then they give a gap of 10 minutes and then have the next one. So you already have that buffering of maybe 5 to 10 minutes in between before the next, next group comes up. And since the slots are to be shared with the parents ahead of the PTM day, if anybody, so they can send it across with a note, if anyone is looking for a change in the timing, owing to, some exigency on that particular day, or maybe an urgency or a meeting or whatever it is, kindly send across a note so we can look at the time change. And if they are unable to probably accommodate them during the time slot that they have given, because the rest of the slots have been occupied by the parents, they can always give them one at the end of the PTM. Can tell them, okay, sir, since the slots have been allotted to the rest of them, could you please come later? Instead of letting the parent, the father sit there and talk to them for a long time, or maybe let him come ahead of someone else when the slot has been given to that particular person. So it's always better to keep things in place before you actually start your PTM. That way, and yes, as Snehlata said, if the parent is sitting there going on, okay, jabbering, then I think the teacher has complete freedom. Tell the parent, pardon me, sir, it's lovely talking to you about your child. But I'm sorry to say, I have got the next set of parents waiting for us. So if you still have something we can see that I can see that you have lots to share with us. So why don't we just have an appointment fixed up for another day so that we can share more and find solutions to whatever concerns you have. I request you to kindly allow me to do this.
So, and he'll never turn up then. He's a busy man after all. Sure.
Yeah. Again, tactfully handle it.
Yeah.
That's what we need to train our teachers. And so for this also, if they can, bring up these points when the teachers you handle a meeting with the teachers. You conduct a meeting with the teachers before the PTM. These are certain points that the head of the school or the coordinator can look into and put it across to the teachers. Because as a senior person, they would know what are the different things or what are the different situations that could crop up when the meeting is on. So if you have prepared the teachers for such situations ahead of time, they know what to say and what not to say.
And if I can add just one little thing, you have already sort of know the parents, which parent will sort of extend the time and ask a lot of questions. No problem. Absolutely no problem. So, you can probably give the time slots accordingly. plan it that way, or you can tell the parent to come on the next day. It's just how you plan it and give them the time slots. You can do even that to avoid even facing this or telling them to stop.
Absolutely. Yes. Once you have conducted the meetings over and over, you know the this
parents
is better for me to give this. It's absolutely right. That's one way of dealing with the situation.
Yeah.
Great there. So that I'll definitely share this answer, the inputs, with my friend sitting there. But
But I tell you one thing, there's no more father and all that. This was an age-old thing handled over fast, and people are continuing with that.
It could be either one.
Either one.
It could be either one. Sure.
Yeah.
So does it really, now we've seen the new normal, everything happening online, though temporary phase. Is there, the rules are different when it comes to online interaction or communication? So does it change or it remains the same? Let's say the PTMs happen online. So does it change? Because see, one is body language. Next thing is when you sit across the table, or as Neha said, that, you should not have something like this beside and, next to you. So are there different rules or when the PTM or the communication is done online?
I think Malti and myself, spoke over it some time back. And we sort of agreed that, the fundamentals were the same. Okay. I remember telling Malti, the only thing that I would miss not having them, is the energy that we get, the positive vibes we get when you have the person in front of you, which you don't have online. In a way you get the energy, yes, but not as much as that you are there in person. We are social animals, as again I'm quoting what Malti said. So it's not very different, I would say. But then, Malti, you want to take it forward? But
I think, like what she said, yes. Besides, presenting yourself in with decorum when you're talking to the parent, making eye contact is very important. Like when you're speaking to the parent, when you're having an online meeting, you can't keep looking this way or that way and speaking to the child, or maybe just looking at the anecdotal record that you have about the child, right? And you're just looking at that and you're not making eye contact with the parent. Now if you do that, the parent is going to lose interest. Probably it indicates to them, okay, she's just doing it because she has to do it. She's not actually interested in telling something about my child. She's not interested in finding a solution for the concerns she has in her mind, or she's trying to put across to me. She's just reading from a book. She's just looking at this. Even if you've done the same thing when you were there, in front in a physical classroom, you tend to look up every second. Yeah. Even if you're looking at the anecdotal record, you tend to look up at the parent and just nod your head and then look down. But when you're sitting in front of the screen, you involuntarily tend to look at the book. So avoid doing that. Be well prepared. Maybe you can have small notes of each child put on the screen somewhere, because the parent is not going to be able to see you. But the fact remains that you need to make eye contact, and you need to see to it that you're looking at the parent when you're speaking. Rules don't change when it comes to the way you speak to the parent, what you're going to say to the parent, and what is going to be a tone, what is a language you're going to be using when you are when you're talking to the parent. That does not change whether it is a virtual meeting or a physical meeting. Yeah. That remains the same. That completely remains the same. That need not change at all and should not change at all. But yes, as Snehlata said, the vibes that you would feel when you're in a room is something that would go missing when you're having a virtual meeting. But you can still conduct it wonderfully.
Yes.
Making the parent feel that I'm concerned. That's why I'm looking at you and I'm talking to you. I'm making eye contact with you. I'm looking at the screen when I'm speaking to you. I want us to work this out together. That's it. Riddhi, I think you need to unmute.
See, now this happens. This is one change. So
that's one thing they have to be careful about.
Absolutely. Yeah. But I get you. I get you completely. That fundamentals remain the same. We need to figure out the ways how this warmth is felt. Yes. I mean, we need to maybe take extra efforts to ensure that happens. And then you've given insights on that as well. Okay. So the last question before we take questions from the audience, the live questions there. Last question is that, okay, if teachers or school gets to understand that there's some serious, this thing, maybe, communication which needs to be done with parents, with regards to it could be some kind of an influence, unhealthy habits, addictions. How do we handle that? Or, this is something which comes across these schools, at least in, I've heard in metros and urban schools, I mean, maybe in rural schools also, there must, so how this needs to be communicated to the parents?
Again, as you're saying, go. Okay. Yeah. It's the fourth kind of that you're addressing concerns, right?
Yeah.
But here it's if it's an addiction or first thing I think is to make sure it's an addiction. It might have been one-off thing where they were under peer pressure to have a smoke or try a drug. I don't know. It could be that. So, it might be a one-off thing. So you can't get that, brand or, that, I don't know, how do you say? You just put that, hey, this child
no
takes
labeling
that.
them, yeah.
No labeling, and don't get there. Okay, now, you've heard about it. Yeah, we had this in one of the schools I worked in, where we heard that the kids went out after school and they went to the school uniform to the mall and they were, smoking and all that. So don't make a hoo-ha about it. You don't tell all your teachers and make an announcement in the school. You know what happened? And it goes on. You just talk, and that story is just twisted, turned, and the real essence of it is completely lost. So I would say if something like this, very quietly, the leaders, the teachers, the coordinators, the principal, and the principal will have to be involved there. Just get out and get a plan. Just plan. Okay, you've heard about it. Okay, you've seen it. Okay. First approach the child, talk to them, and the parent has to be told over here. It's our belief that we have done it. So has seen it. So we just wanted to bring it to your notice, because this may not, if we didn't tell you at this time, we would feel guilty about it, because they might get into a habit. You just have to empathize, just be in their shoes as a parent, and tell them we mean well. That message has to get across. Again, tactfully, gently, and you need the evidence.
Yeah, you need the evidence. True. True.
And most of the time, you need to have the counselor with you. If it is something which is a serious concern that you have, you need to have the counselor with you, and try talking to the child first before you actually take it across to the parent, which I have been telling. Okay, someone has very right, put it down rightfully that peer pressure sessions need to be conducted. Yes, the school will have to take up such sessions so that they are able to bring all the children on the same page. They should make it very clear to them that this is what the school follows. Bullying is not accepted, and then you cannot hurt or harm a child. Your children generally get into a teasing mode, but it should not be something which hurts somebody or harms somebody. Right. It comes to them naturally. We cannot be there as teachers or at the head of the school walking with each child to see that nobody talks anything that is that the other child feels is not unpleasant. But then as long as the teasing is just okay, that's how we all of us grew up that way. But as long as it is in something that hurts or harms a child, it's fine. Right. And you will find that they love to tackle. They love to come and complain. So the teacher also should know which she can take it as a serious complaint and which she can just tell her, okay, fine. Isn't he your friend? I think it's okay, especially in the younger classes. No? The younger ones is where you will find a lot of tattling happening. There is another question. I think Jaya Bahadur asks, what if we don't have a counselor in school? How do we help the child? In the team of teachers in your school, you will certainly have people who are approachable and who have developed a very good rapport with the child. Now, what you can do is, if the child is facing a problem, or if you feel that this child needs help, you can always check with the child whether he wishes to speak to a teacher. Leave the choice to the child, him or her. Tell her, would you like to talk about this with a teacher in your school? Would you like to talk with somebody whom you think you can, connect very well with? You'll certainly have children who connect to certain teachers fantastically.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Yes.
So you can give them the choice. So you can say, would you like to talk about this to a teacher whom you would want to? We will leave it to you. You decide whom you want to speak to. So when you give them a buddy from the teacher's side, from the staff side, and you pair them up and let them speak to each other, you will see that gradually the child has opened up to the teacher, and the teacher has most of the time been able to find, give help, guide the child rightly. And if that hasn't happened, she can always get in touch with the coordinator or the principal, and they as a team can decide how they can help the child. And this buddy teacher should get back to the child to inform what can be done, than involving the rest of them. Yes, getting a buddy teacher for the child is very important if you don't have a counselor. You will certainly have teachers who are fantastic at this.
Yes. If I have to think of a name, all students will definitely have at least one teacher who's the Pied Piper for them, who's going to be around. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Ritika, if I can add one thing more, now we are all doing a lot of online reading. We have exposure to online. I think to avoid all this addiction or problems, I think the parents and the students should be aware of the cyberbully, cyber safety. A must, because this is going to be a huge thing in the coming days.
You've brought in the right conversation here, Sneha. This is so scary. You don't even know how to handle such a situation. But yeah, we'll definitely have a session around
every
it.
Every school has to have this. Like you have the orientation program. At least the children should know that. Should be aware that, hey, these are things which can happen.
Right.
Because you can just make friends and there are people there trying to grab you in the wrong way.
Right. Waiting.
So they need to be aware. Parents need to be aware. If there's no awareness, because this is something which is developing in our country now. So the cyber safety is something, it may not be physical safety more than that, it's now cyber safety. So that is something that it has to be addressed at some point of time.
Absolutely. Not wait for something to happen. Go ahead and
not waiting something to happen. Yes.
The feeling that, earlier it was that, it's dark. It's 7, 8, whatever. Child is home. Okay. Child is safe. But now there's no, those hours. You could sit in front of this glass machine and just, excuse me. So, great insights. Lovely. It's already 6:15. I'll open the floor to questions. Audience, if you have any questions, let me check if we've not answered any questions here at times. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, there is one again from Jaya Bahadur. She says, as a parent, my child likes to be lonely and doesn't like to share with the counselor. How can I help my child? Maybe if it is at home, as I said, in the school, you can have a buddy teacher. But if it is at home, probably the child is very close to one of the family members. He finds comfort with one of the family members. Get them to talk to it. And as a parent, I did mention earlier also, don't close the communication channel. Okay, once you have weaned away from communicating with your child, then even as a child grows up, then they also stay away and stop communicating with you. That is when they get into a learner, and keeping them within the communication channel is more important as they grow up. as they are getting into their teens, that is where you need to keep talking to them. So, okay, as you have said, ma'am, if he doesn't want to talk to the counselor, if it's at home, a buddy teacher, talk to the class teacher and find out, let her ask the child whom he would like to communicate with. And if it's at home, find out. You can always check out, there could be one family member whom the child loves to discuss with or communicate freely with. So put them together, get them to talk together, and slowly the child will start opening up. But don't give up. Don't just let it be. Because you don't know what's running in the child's mind. You need to crack that. You need to keep them talking. Don't let it be, okay, he's just being lonely, feeling lonely for some time. That's fine. No, please keep the communication channel open always, 365 days.
Sure. I'd just like to add over there, Jaya. I don't know whether you've chosen your words, Kev. I mean, I'm not sure of your words. I don't know whether he likes to be alone or he feels lonely.
He likes to be
he can be alone, but he feels lonely. It has to be that way. You've got to be, not a language teacher. It's for us to understand better, because feeling lonely is different.
Lonely. He feels lonely, probably.
Yeah. So,
She says he likes to be alone. That's what now she's written again.
Okay, he likes to be alone.
Alone, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a huge difference between feeling lonely and alone. Jay, if I can just say something, I mean, you need to keep a watch over him for the next couple of years, and maybe you need to get some help if he doesn't change. If he's a shy person, an introvert, it's fine. But if he continues to feel that he's better off being alone, you need to take him to a counselor where he will open up if he cannot open up with anybody, as Malati suggested.
Yes,
it could be signs of a couple of things. Absolutely. Which I'm not the right person to talk about it, but these are indicators. These are indicators when they want to be alone from childhood. But then I'm not the right person to sort of give you the further knowledge on this.
Even in school, I think the teachers will have to keep their eyes and ears open to to identify any sudden change in a child.
Yeah.
Those are indicators that if a child has been very chirpy for a long time and then suddenly gets into her shell and refuses to open up, then this is something that, the bell should ring there, the alarm should ring there, and they need to observe the child for a few more days or a couple of more sessions to find out whether there's any change in the child or does the pattern continue, and then decide, yes, it's now time to probably take the counselor into confidence. And after gathering
professional help,
I
would say go in for professional
help. Get them into thing, and then probably you'll have to bring the parent also into the scene and have a discussion about it, because children tend to stop communicating when they are when they are in depression, or when they are feeling a little low, or they feel that if I share, I'm not going to get a solution to it, people are only going to mock at me, and some such situation. But there would be clear indicators to this, where the child stops mingling with his or her friends, and they don't want to talk to anybody, they love to be sitting alone to themselves. All these are indicators, and these will be sudden changes that crop in. So it's again the duty of the teacher when in school also to find out, is there a change in this child's behavior? Okay, let me observe. Maybe he needs help, and maybe he needs professional help going ahead. That has to be looked into.
This conversation, I mean, we definitely need to have a webinar which is around this itself. We keep hearing, right, every 1 hour, suicides, that, and forget about that. Now online, and we realize that this is here, pandemic is here to stay, which also means that not the pandemic, but this kind of a situation, which means that one, media literacy that we spoke about earlier, we need to educate parents, teachers, everybody, because this is something that this generation is learning to get exposed to now. So certainly something around that, because that definitely needs a lot of communication. First is creating that awareness, and then communication. We will bring this webinar very soon. I mean, as a parent, as a person sitting here, I'm really getting goosebumps. It's not that I'm hearing it for the first time, but every moment, every time that we hear, this needs to be discussed in length again. So when we started this session, we spoke about 4 categories, 4 different types of communication. Now this is the 5th one, and not that we know a lot about it. It's only the experts who can talk about it, and the people who like me, they really need to know a lot about it. So thank you everyone for investing your time. Thank you, Sneha and Malati. I mean, I really fall short of words, because I'm taking home immense information today, small little bits, but then I'm able to connect dots today. And I'm sure audience, you can please put your feelings in the chat box, because we've tried to kind of give you an experience, feelings through this glass box. So please put it in the chat box before we formally conclude the webinar. And also you can go to our Facebook page, Education Not page. Please share, how did you find today's webinar? Was this session helpful, or you still want to hear something? We will get back to you. We'll try to get you answers. Personally, for me as a host, I loved every moment of it. Thank you so much. And thank you, audience.
Riddhi, sorry to interrupt. Can I have one last minute before we sign up?
There is a takeaway for each one of you. For me, there are many. And again, thank you, Sneha. Thank you, Malati. I thought it's going to be yet another, session, but this was very different, handful of takeaways. So, yeah.
I just would like to say something to both the speakers. Wonderful.
Yeah, sure.
Normally speakers come with the presentation, very serious attention. Today I felt like I was sitting and watching a table tennis match or a lawn. Both complimented each other, engaged lively with the excellent smile, excellent connectivity. That is what we needed, as parents, as principals, because we should not be serious mode while talking to a parent. We should not be serious mode while talking to a teacher, because the connectivity was very much there. You gave fantastic examples where every parent should take from this message and go and apply it. Because attending webinar, it's a gift. But taking those lessons, go back and apply it, you are going to see the solution. Thank you so much from my side as a learner.
Thank you.
And from Educational
Pleasure
Not.
is completely ours. Thank you.
So I think you believed in us, and thank you for that.
No, so you see, online PTM can be conducted this way.
Absolutely. Bullseye. Yes, certainly.
And as a last thing, I'd like to say, as teachers, we are too serious, and we are very uptight. We lack that sense of humor, and you don't have the sense of humor even in the class. So have a sense of beautiful humor. Learn to laugh with them, not laugh at them, but with the jokes with the children. When you make it fun for the children, they may be crazy, but you'll be crazy too in the class when you have to be.
Absolutely. That's how you develop a wonderful rapport with them.
Right.
Excellent rapport.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. So yes, I just sum up by saying this: apply the learnings that you've taken today, and come back to us to share that yes, you saw some change when you applied it, because there should be some way for us also to kind of gauge that yes, these insights are helping. I'm sure it will, but then we would really love to hear back from you all. Thank you, everyone, and please go ahead. Share your feelings on the Facebook page too, some social media.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
It was a wonderful session, Malati and Sneglata ma'am. Thank you so much from Education Not.
Where are they, ma'am? On the left, is it?
Namaste, madam. We are from which school, madam?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I am Surya here from